ways. So appreciate you. Good times. Draft night. Wild card of a draft should be fun as hell. All kinds of wild rumors surround this draft already to the point where you don't know what to trust at all. I've probably immersed myself way too much in this just because I love it. You know, something that happened kind of quietly that made me think about the draft is that Chase Young, we all remember when Chase Young was coming out, can't miss Chase Young, beast, got to take him, could, all of that stuff, right? Well, he didn't get his fifth-year option picked up. He's been largely a bust. And you're reminded of this, like how damn difficult all of this is. You could be a physical freak, and he is. I don't know if you'd call Jadeveon Clowney a bust, but when you consider what he was, the physical freak that he was, and the dominance he displayed in the SEC, right? You would think can't miss, right? He's kind of been a miss. He's hardly been dominant. Hardly been dominant.
He's there.
No, he's in the league still.
He's there.
Yeah.
He's on a roster. He's a starter or rotational piece.
A rotational piece. Misses a lot of time. Not like Kawhi Leonard does, but he misses a lot of time. You know, it's just every time you think about it. How many players. So my question is really, rather than to go through and name all the guys that didn't pan out because we'd be here all day. But, yeah, you kind of ask yourself that about your guy when you draft him, no matter who you root for. It could be the Dolphins tonight, Atlanta tonight. Atlanta, you guys, obvious. I don't know why Atlanta has – by the way, this is an aside. I have to try to hit the regional teams. Atlanta, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Miami, all these, right? Why aren't they part of the Lamar sweepstakes? What are they doing? Why don't they go get a quarterback? What do you clearly need a quarterback. What are you doing? I mean, go get Lamar.
Maybe they will tonight.
Well, I've just been wondering about all of this. But how many players in this draft, first round tonight, really, you don't really necessarily trust it second, third, fourth, on down. But how many players in the first round tonight will see their fifth-year option picked up? Because I know that there have been guys, all of us have done this, that we thought, no way, no how, that guy's not three-time Pro Bowler, not going to be a stud for us. This is a sure thing. Nah, not really. Unless you go offensive line, which is what I want to do always. Because when in doubt, we've got a new mantra, and I say it. You get your offensive line going here. I would normally tell you this, for example. Don't worry about skill players until you have your offensive line in place, which is true. But I'd also say that about defensive line. But I don't know if that's true anymore in the modern NFL, because you could have a monstrous defensive line, but if you're going against one of these offenses, one of these modern offenses led by a freak at quarterback, you're not stopping him. I don't give a damn how good your defense is. You're not getting stops. I mean, nobody seems to find a way to consistently get Kansas City to not drop 35 on their ass. I mean, it's unreal.
Well, and quarterbacks in general now are just so adept at getting rid of the football within a second and a half that it just takes the D-line out of it.
Yeah.
If they're in that kind of a rhythm as an offense. And we've seen it with Mahomes and Brady and many others who are just really, really good at getting rid of the football. It's actually kind of why Daniel Jones has been a problem matchup for the Bucs over the years, including his rookie year, where the Bucs scored on every drive in the first half and still found a way to lose that football game. Doesn't sting at all still. But they would constantly, in each one of those performances, show that doesn't matter that if you're the world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers who have Shaq Barrett and JPP and Sue in the middle, doesn't matter because 1.2, boom.
It's out.
Ball's
it's
out.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Hey now. But that's why, to your point, I think the offensive line would actually, in this era of professional football, be more important than the defensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. This is where we go into the draft tonight with these quarterbacks where, you think about the team that's taking them because none of them feel like transcendently great quarterbacks, although it's almost impossible these days to really note who those are. I mean, we had really, really big, strong-arm guys come out that we thought were can't miss, 6'4", 6'5", 240, big arm, high completion percentage in college, and they fail. You've had wildly athletic quarterbacks that can do things we've never seen from that position before come in, and some have had great success, some have failed miserably. And it's just been a hodgepodge, but it does require you to be all in on a system. Like the Eagles get really high marks, even if they kind of eventually accidentally stumbled into it. The truth is, once they figured out that Jalen Hurts was their guy, look at their offense, man. They force you to play 9 in the box and get one-on-one matchups. Why? Well, they don't want Jalen Hurts to sit back there and be a pocket passer. They don't want him to be a drop-back guy. The running game is centered around him, the threat of his legs. You know what you would want? Like, let's say you're going to take Anthony Richardson tonight. Let's just say that you're going to take a flyer on a kid that's played precious little football.
I like that pick.
Okay. So let's say you do that. Well, do you have the right staff in place to coach it? You want Mike Norvell. You want Mike Norvell to coach Anthony Richardson. Why? He's going to create the running game based on the boots, tosses, all that stuff, rollouts that you can do with a very mobile quarterback, the threat of those legs, meaning you got to walk a guy up. And now I'm going to have one-on-one matchups. Now, if I create those one-on-one matchups, I don't have to be that adept as a passer. I just have to be decent. All right, well, let's say I do that. And I garner some confidence, and I get better, and I get better. We're winning games because I play good defense. I can run the football, and I need my quarterback to make some throws into one-on-one situations. The Eagles went out and got Brown at wide receiver, so they're going to win those matchups. You have to be prepared is my point, and you guys know, I'm talking to all you guys, your favorite teams. Do you have the right coaches to teach that system? Do you have the right players to run that system? Because when you go that route, you have to go all in on that route. It's not any different to me than what the Titans do with Derrick Henry. They're all in on this is how we play football. We're going to try to run downhill. We're going to throw off a play action. We're going to run a ton of double tights and beat you up physically and win with defense, field position, play action passes. We'll win that battle. Other people don't want to play that way. They think they have the personnel to spread it out, put you in really tough situations where the quarterback is really mobile and he can take off. And it's fascinating to kind of look at the draft through those eyes. Like, what's your coaching staff assessment? What's their pedigree? What have they run before? What did they do in the past? Have they ever run an offense that is going to be required of you taking a quarterback like Anthony Richardson? That's why people keep seeing Seattle as a nice place for him, because he's a bigger version of Russell Wilson. And he doesn't have to throw off a platform. He can always throw off a platform, right? And you can use him to set up the running game, which is what Carroll wants to do.
Yeah, if this was next year's quarterback class and I had the second quarterback on the board and I want to go quarterback, then it would be ridiculous if Anthony Richardson was in that same class to take him. But in this instance, this year, if you have your option of the second best quarterback
at 19, or is that where we go?
I mean, even if it's top 5, I think if you're a franchise that's starving to matter, this is your home run cut. And if it doesn't work in 3 years, it doesn't cripple you as an organization anymore.
Not like it used to.
I would get more, maybe not reckless is probably not the right word, but I would get more aggressive in the types of chances I take with quarterbacks in the top 10 if I'm an organization that is perennially losing. Because this guy pays off. He's Josh Allen. I mean, and you have already seen the repertoire of the great throws. He makes all of the great throws.
Yeah.
But he's got consistency issues out the wazoo.
He doesn't throw accurately, consistently from the pocket.
Correct.
If you get him off platform and he can flick that hand and do the magic, he's fine. He does that.
But if you're telling me that the second quarterback off the board tonight is a choice between Richardson and Levis and Bryce Young, I'd rather have Richardson, thank you very much. I'm going to take the home run cut with that.
Well, this is going to be the hardest draft in the world to be overly critical of any team. I mean, because depending on who you believe that has done these player ratings and the staffs that have done these player ratings, now it is almost universally agreed upon that the number, at least in terms of first round grades, that the number is between 14 and 20, maybe 20's pushing it. That's the highest I've seen of players in the first round that have a first round worthy grade. Like somebody brought up that 2013 was like this. That there weren't that many good players in 2013. And
the quarterbacks were EJ and Geno Smith. That was it. Right?
That's a tough draft.
Yeah.
That's a damn tough draft. So you're looking at that going, there weren't a lot of great players there. You can always find a player. I mean, there are guys that emerged from that draft from the third round that are Pro Bowlers. It happens. But in terms of what they were graded as coming out, I also think it's a lot harder than ever before to really know what you have with offenses, because now all these offenses do succeed. Like, you're not trying to fit a player that ran an entirely opposite offense in college into a system if you do, that's on you. If you draft, that's like when the Colts took Bjorn Warner. Like, he's can't do what you want him to do. And
let's
he
stand
never
him up. He could be like Jason Taylor.
He never did that in college. What are you doing? Like, he's never shown he can do that, you dumbasses. So that's on them. But a lot of guys have come from systems that are very quote unquote collegiate and gone on to have success in the pros. Now, typically the ones, the players that do are ones that go into a system where the coaches get what they're drafting. They know, okay, well, I can't run what I want to run like I did with this guy. I'll have to change my system to fit this guy, and we'll let him do what he does well. And then once we get some traction, well, now I can start sprinkling things in. He gains confidence over time. We work with him. You know, I think you're seeing that more and more, which is exciting, which opens up the door or the possibility that you can go and grab a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's played not a lot of football at all. Some of it has been electrifying. Some of it has been god-awful, and the reason you lost. Kentucky game. Like, you think about moments like that, right? So, but who is that athletic that you've ever seen play that position? I mean, it's freakish. It's crazy.
Who doesn't? I mean, like, if you put a highlight reel together of all of the best throws that he made and call it, 10 out of 10 degree of difficulty for either placement or velocity or a combination of the two, arm strength, it's a multi-minute montage.
Oh, it goes on for a while, yeah.
And you're not looping back. It's just a multi-minute montage.
Go back to the throws he killed us with in Gainesville when they put him in.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, I wish the other guy would have stayed in because he's terrible.
Correct.
But this kid is killing us.
It's routine enough, I think, that it's worthy in a draft like this, to swing for the downs. But in next year's draft,
it might not
with that quarterback class, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and it is a draft-by-draft situation. Like, you have a ton of fun with it. You're like, all right, well, let's look and see what we got. I do know this. I think all the intrigue begins not with Carolina and not with Houston, although Houston could go quarterback here. It begins with Arizona. Arizona is said to when they draft third, I think they would be the most likely candidate to listen to offers to trade down. They need a lot. They don't block it up. So they probably are in love with the Northwestern offensive lineman. That's fine. His tape looks incredible. He looks like a plug-and-play, can't-miss guy. But what if they could get him further down? Because they know the Colts are going to draft quarterback. So now already you can go from 3 down to 4 if the Colts moved up, getting scared or whatever it might be. What do you think Seattle's going to do? Well, what if they want a quarterback that you like? All right, well, so now you get nervous about that. So it's going to be fascinating to see where the offers come from. Does somebody move up? What if somebody's worried about Seattle taking Jalen Carter, although there are whispers out of Seattle that they're scared off by his off-the-field issues and his lack of work ethic? Who knows? Teams say that a lot of times. They want to create that firestorm, but truth is, I mean, if that all depends on your locker room. Do you have somebody in your locker room better than he is at playing football and that will mentor him? And I was reading, I know Belichick has said this a lot before, and I think some people have taken that. I know it was in his book, that when they do these psychological tests, and there's like all these different categories, Tom, that stuff is fascinating. I wish I could see all these tests that they have. They got a ton of them. Some of them we know about, some of them we don't. But one of the things that he said was that they have categories for things, and he believes you can change a player's work habits, but you cannot change his competitiveness. So if a guy's not competitive, but works real hard, that's usually not something that is synonymous. Usually it's not. But if a guy doesn't have red flags in that arena, but that test reveals he's not all that competitive, they are more scared of that. They're much more frightened off by that than they are that the guy has terrible work habits. They might be like, well, this kid never works really hard at all. Is he competitive? When he plays, is he really competitive? Because we can fix the work habits. We can incentivize that. We may have a guy in the locker room that can help change that.
Usually competitive people are more gifted to.
Well, that's exactly right.
Usually.
Yeah. I mean, so they may want to be the best at playing the game. They just don't want to work to do it. And if they're extremely gifted, they may not have to. Jalen Carter, probably his whole life, was better than everybody else on the football field. He was unblockable. He could dominate games and never have to work hard, because who the hell is 6'5", 335 that, with a 38-inch vertical and run and can do all those things? So it's a fascinating look at, who's willing to take that chance. A lot of times it's based on who you have in that locker room. Is there somebody that can stand up to this guy and say to him, no, that's not how we do things here. That ain't going to happen. And you trust that guy will be willing to mentor a kid? Do you have that presence? If you don't, what if you're really young and you don't have that guy? And that team that's young and talented is extremely impressionable. Now you're going to bring in a guy in here who's not going to work. This is what they do with the NBA stuff, where they try to look at fits. Oh. Well, they say things like, well, this guy can't play without the ball in his hands, and we got 4 young players we're trying to develop. That ain't going to work.
This is also a decision that Mike Norvell has had to make for the first time as Florida State's leader of the program, that can the locker room accept this issue as we move forward and progress towards going from a 10-win team to a playoff team to a national championship contender? Because it couldn't the first few years. I've got to get all this cancer out. Got to do it. We have to start fresh, and we have to have a unified voice. But as you get better, you start to take chances.
Yeah.
Because your locker room can stand it. But the issue with the now, and not to totally derail it and turn it to college.
That's fine.
But the issue with the now is that NIL creates this variable that you just don't know how it's going to play.
It stinks. It's got to be a nightmare to be a head coach in college in that regard. You'd rather be a professional head coach. You're under contract. You ain't going anywhere. You're not going to play for somebody else. You're going to sit your ass right here, and we'll fine you every day you don't come in. You're under contract. And that's the way it's going to work. You either play for us, you play nowhere. That's not NIL. That's the problem you have. And threats of playing time don't work the way they used to. Used to be a position coach could tell a kid, oh, you want to act out? You don't want to follow the rules? You don't want to work hard? You're just not playing. That kid says, I'm leaving. You're like, well, all right then. That's a toughie. I guess you are. Sucks for us because you're kind of good. And I can't be in a situation where I have too much hemorrhaging going on at a position that is so vital to success. So maybe I don't even realize it, but I lie to myself and I compromise our values, the things that help make the locker room great, because I know that replacing you, especially now in the portal, there's not another guy like you. So what do? I just wear that and we lose a game that we shouldn't lose because I couldn't figure out a way to make this work. Fans aren't going to tolerate that. That sucks. You also have to stand by the values that created the locker room that we talked about.
Well, fans are inconsistent.
Well, I'm not worried about fans, but I'm saying losses
He doesn't want to be a Noel, screw him. And then why are we losing these football games 4 months later?
Yeah, but what is universally true is that all fans and administrations are intolerant of losing. So that's actually the math you're doing. Does this cost me a game? What about 2 games? That's tough math, man. So how far do I acquiesce? How much do I waver in this standard that I've created for those that we bring in and try to create a seamless entryway to the culture that we have, championed on the regular? It's tough. That's tough. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Trucking accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
A cup of Joe, Java, Brew, Go-Go Beans, Brainwater, Liquid Lightning, Wakey Juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. We've all heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Well, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
At Pinch A Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Every child deserves a chance to live their best life and celebrate every moment. When you support St. Jude, you help give kids with cancer around the world that chance. Together, we can save more lives. Finding cures, saving children. Visit stjude.org.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
You know, we'll see who has the, as the pros like to say, who has the schematic flexibility. Who has a coaching staff that can take on a guy that is the opposite of the guy that they've been coaching, or the opposite that they've been utilizing to run their offense. You know what else is funny? If you think about recent draft picks and these discussions we had in the previous draft or the draft before, seems fairly obvious that, I mean, they can't get a bag of footballs in San Francisco for Trey Lance. Nobody thinks that dude can play. I mean, if you listen to John Lynch, he all but came out and was like, offer us anything. We're willing to trade. We'd like to get rid of Trey Lance. I mean, parse through his comments, and then he realized what he said. It was in an interview, and then he was like, well, I mean, obviously, we still think the young man has a ton of talent, and no, you don't. You're trying to get rid of him right now. You just drafted him. You think he's a bust. And your coach is a quarterback whisperer. He wins with bums. He had to have told you that he can't play. What are we doing?
We're going to go with Brock Purdy.
It's funny, but
there's another page in the long book of NFL quarterback draft picks that you'd think are going to do one thing and do the other. That Brock Purdy in the offseason, even with a medical recovery process, is widely considered to be the future of the San Francisco 49ers is wild.
Yeah. I would. I'd look for a quarterback if I were them. I'd look for a quarterback. I don't see it, but
the Whisperer does.
I love the Whisperer. He's great, but man, I imagine if you gave him a good one. Imagine if you had a good quarterback. All right, so you guys want updates, I'm sure, on what is happening with Joshua Farmer and all the rumors and the like and all that. Nothing new, guys. It is still a very 50-50 proposition, I'd say right now. That's a 50-50 proposition. And that doesn't make anybody feel any better. You'd almost be better off to hear me say, look, man, that guy's gone. At least you'd have some sort of definitive time to move on moment where you just kind of like, well, that sucks. Moving on. But I can't even give you that because where we stand right now seems to be 50-50. But I said yesterday on the show, and I'll repeat what I said for those that missed it, I'm still waiting for his name to enter into the portal. It's been some time, and I said when that was announced, when he said on Twitter he was possibly going to put his name into the transfer portal. I don't even know how he worded it. How did he word it? What was the exact tweet? You remember?
I think it's something like,
I intend to.
I'm going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah, and then he didn't. He didn't enter the transfer portal. Usually I am going. I'm going. But listen, each hour that goes by suggests to me that he's not going to enter the portal. I know I said 50-50 because I can't get a definitive answer right now from people who would know, and he can't seem to give a definitive answer as to where he stands on this. So it does remain murky, but I just, again, reading the tea leaves, somebody 2 days ago says they intend to enter the portal, and here we sit Thursday, moving ever closer to a deadline, and he still hasn't entered the portal. I mean, you got to feel good that he's clearly not real sure that that's what he intended to do at all.
Agreed. And that's what we were getting to for the people who lost the audio in the chat. It wasn't like we had breaking news and you missed a key nugget there.
Right.
Although I think we should tighten up our game a little bit and say, all right, we've got breaking news on Josh Farmer coming up next. And then when the segment starts, all right, here's the latest on Josh Farmer.
And then as soon as the sound comes back on, even though that we were just protecting ourselves from the copyrighted music,
right.
Then I could be like, oh, I hope you guys enjoyed that breaking news.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
Or it's just breaking news. All right, guys, here's the latest. First, a word from our sponsors and then you say, still 50-50. Right? Still 50-50.
As far as the other aspect of that rumor that I really didn't spend much time addressing yesterday, but there's another element to all of this, which is that allegedly, and I think it's based on something that he posted on Instagram. Good God, social media. What a nightmare. The Daryl Jackson said something cryptic about maybe he would leave too.
Song lyrics, man.
All right. Well, where? You can't go anywhere. You can go live somewhere. You can go live in Topeka. I mean, go have fun with it, whatever. But you can't go play anywhere. So I don't even know how to address that. I mean, so you're going to leave because hypothetically Farmer leaves, so you leave? Are you? What is this?
Wait a minute. I solved it.
What?
Farmer is sick. And he's got the illness, and that's what Daryl's here for. is he's the sick family member. Because remember, that was the reason that this all began with. It was a transfer and a hardship waiver to be closer to a sick friend or relative.
Was I think his mom.
I understand.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, where the hell did that go? If Josh leaves and you want to leave, what the hell happened to the sick mom?
But he didn't say he wanted to leave, right? That's just been a rumor. I guess he quoted a lyric trying to be cryptic, and people took that to mean he would leave. You're tempted, obviously, at that point to rip the kid for being a childish fool. No, but you can't do that.
What I'm saying is, if you're going to invoke, and look, this could hurt Florida State if you really wanted to preach it from the university standpoint, but if you're going to invoke that you need to be closer to a family member, and that is the reason for a transfer, in order to get a waiver, a hardship eligibility waiver from the NCAA, and your friend leaving the team for a better financial opportunity, let's just say that was the case, cut and dry. Better financial opportunity. We didn't want to match. Your friend goes. You want to leave now?
No, I know.
That doesn't make a lick of sense.
None of it makes any sense. I'm not buying it at all. I'm not buying it at all. So, I find it completely fascinating. But I also think it bodes well for us. I think there's a lot of bluster here, but I don't think it means anything. I do think it also, and I risk being the old man on the lawn without a question, but it is an awful lot of look at me, which is very indicative of everybody who grew up on the internet. Everybody. I'm not singling those kids out. I'm saying all kids. You're on the stage. There's a camera on everybody because everybody's got one in their effing hand. So that's the world. That's the mindset. It's always through a prism of I'm being watched. I got to give people something to look at. So I say things I don't even mean, like an a-hole. But that's what people do. That's what kids do.
And that's the thing where for somebody like you, somebody like me, won't speak for all of our colleagues because I'm not saying that it necessarily sours the process. This is still one of the great jobs in the world.
It's an awesome job.
You learn early on, if you stick around for a year or two, sometimes how the sausage is made on these particular issues, be it high school recruiting. That was the big one. This is new. This is brand new. But this resembles high school recruiting in a lot of ways. With the back and forth.
Oh, man.
The back and the forth and the
pre-card money
and the cajoling and the stroking of the ego. And you're very important to us. And then some of that also is the other way. It's the coach is just an outright liar, says that Jesus spoke to him in a dream and Matt Elam, you need to come to Gainesville.
Right.
And that's what throws him over the top. I believe Dabo believes everything the Bible thumping gets you a kid. But we know how the sausage is made. I think this is a further education to the public of, man, this is NIL is a new chapter in the book, but this is that's how it works.
None of
this happen.
None of it is becoming. All of it.
Correct.
Can foster what Joe points out here. He says, I got to be honest, this Farmer Jackson stuff makes me angry at them, right or wrong. I think that's probably the feeling of a lot of people, Joe. Just like I get angry at coaches when they do what Tom just mentioned, but I think that's completely disingenuous. You know why you're saying that. You know why you did that. You said that to that kid's parents because you knew they would buy it hook, line, and sinker because they're suckers. They're poor and dumb and don't know any better. That farm kid you're talking to, that she just wants to feel like her son is going to be having Sunday dinners with grandma. Well, you're going to tell them. You're going to tell them that's exactly how it is here at Clemson. It's what we do. We sit down, praise Jesus, and have some potatoes together every Sunday, just like here on the farm.
He said potatoes.
And Jesus. My son's going to Clemson right now. I don't want to hear it from anybody else. Sunday dinners with Dabo. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Florida legislature took a step toward clearing potential hurdles for Governor Ron DeSantis to prepare for a rumored presidential run. Wednesday, the Florida Senate passed SB 7050, which its legislators say aims to crack down on voter fraud. An amendment to the bill filed Tuesday states that a person running for president is not required to resign from their current position. The amendment would make it possible for DeSantis to run for president while still serving as governor. And if he loses a presidential bid, he would not have to give up his governorship. Connor's Steak and Food is coming to Tallahassee. Right now, their Florida locations include Fort Myers and Sarasota. Their CEO confirmed they have signed a lease to build a restaurant at Market Square Shopping Plaza, close to where REI Co-op recently opened. Connor's first opened their doors in Knoxville, Tennessee back in 2004. They plan on hiring around 125 people as they get closer to opening in Tallahassee. They plan on opening sometime late next year. This is Rachel and A with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A severe thunderstorm watch continues until 7 p.m. this evening. Cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 83. Winds out of the south 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows around 67. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. High of 82. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 74.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
That's the extent of our baseball coverage these days. Tough times. You're just like, yeah, they're still playing. Where? Notre Dame. Okay. Moving on down the road. That is an accurate post on the chat there, Tom. I pulled it up. So that could very well be bad news. Maybe we'll be able to break it and confirm it as we sit here today. Not sure, but the part about not being on the roster seems accurate. So that sort of frustration, add to our day. Did go to the portal. Okay. So what we said before is, look, these are the ugly elements of where we are now with the transfer portal. But if you're a program that is successfully using the portal to build your roster to where Florida State's is now, no matter how it feels in your gut right now, you can't then be angry that it happened to you. Well, I can't tell you that you can't be angry, but you would understand that that is intellectually dishonest because we've done that to other programs. We'll see. We'll see where this goes.
So in checking Seminoles.com, the roster, yes, of course, he is not listed. But I think this is always something, this business that we're in, where people say, all right, well, what about? Like, you write an article on the top 5 recruits that Florida State should close a deal on. Well, what about the 6th kid? Is the first comment.
Right.
Daryl Jackson is still listed on the roster. So in case that, you were thinking about
you thought it was a
steps being
tandem
taken, if it was a package deal or whatever, as, there might have been a chance, at least at this point, He's no longer on the roster. Josh Farmer was as of this morning, so that is a significant step. Being reports out there that he's in the portal officially. Darrell Jackson still remains on the roster for now, so we'll get more as we have more.
What I will tell you is that I think what's disappointing about this is you have a kid who's not only talented and was going to help your football team, but from what I can derive and what I've come to understand about this situation is getting information that, again, does not benefit him long-term. And that stinks. There are situations. So there have been situations where we've talked about a player fills a minimal role on your roster and gets an opportunity to fill a much larger role somewhere else via the portal. That player, whatever it may be. Treshaun Ward is probably a good example, probably the best example we can give right now. Nobody wanted to lose Treshaun Ward, but you have a lot of running backs, and a lot of them are talented, and Ward had a chance and has a chance to be able to go and, get the bulk of the carries for Kansas State, to be the guy, to obviously highlight his abilities in a greater way than he could here if he had stuck around. And if they offer a certain dollar amount, you're happy for the kid. You say, good. That's how that should work. Other times you go, man, kid scrupulous, and now we'll see what happens. You want guys to have a really firm grasp of the situation, an understanding of the situation. But if people outside that locker room, if people outside that coaching staff, if somebody not affiliated with your collective, your coaching staff, your locker room has a stronger hold and influential aspect of that relationship with this particular player, you can't win. You can't win. And if that person continues to influence in a way that, as you sit here now looking at the situation, is not in that kid's best interest, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't know all the details of what just happened. I just know some of what I heard, and it doesn't sound good. And you hate it for the kid. You hate it when you read about this situation or hear about this situation anytime it happens. The other day we did this. We were talking about, was it Kabengele? Who was it?
Obiagu.
Obiagu.
Ike Obiagu.
Yeah, that's right.
Seton Hall.
That situation. What an awful set of circumstances that was at the time. That was a kid emerging within a role on a Florida State roster that was perfectly suited for him. And he was going to continue to emerge as a defensive stopper, shot blocker, rebounding, all of those things. Offense was always secondary with him. But he had a perfect role in that system that Leonard ran with the bench that he had and what was being asked of him. An emerging star, I might say, defensively. But he had handlers that had hands out and wanted a lot of different things, some of which was a bridge too far. And at that point, that broke down, and Florida State, I understand it, said, well, we're not going to do that. We can't do that. It's not fair to the other players on the roster. It's not in your best interest. We're not going to do that. We're not going to guarantee him 33 minutes a night. We can't do that. It doesn't fit for what we need him for. That's not how this works. So he took it. He goes to Seton Hall, and never to be heard from again. Never to be heard from again. He didn't do a damn thing there. Nothing.
Another high-profile example, I think the statute of limitations is passed on this, right? Because he is in the NBA and has been for some time. But Anthony Edwards going to Georgia was a similar circumstance. Anthony Edwards wanted to run the point at Florida State. So
which, in retrospect, maybe we should have.
That was Trent Forrest last year.
I know.
Yeah, so we couldn't promise that because Trent had been here.
And he's a soldier for us.
It was the 2020 season. You want a kid who's going to learn the ways?
Yeah.
Trent was, I mean, now if it was the next year,
Yeah.
it's bad timing. I'll grant you.
It was.
We could promise that next year.
Yeah.
But Leonard wasn't going to allow that to just throw everything that he had built upside down. And that team would have gone to the Final Four. And Anthony Edwards and Georgia won like 8 games. But he got it done, and he got what he wanted to get out of it.
He's an elite young player in the NBA.
There's no question.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But he was not interested. He was interested in minutes and production over the wins, over the concept that Leonard was trying to build.
The one thing about this situation here quickly, Tom, and I want to address it again because we've talked throughout the course of this spring about, and I've labeled the spring. I keep saying it, and I'll say it again here, and today's the first example of it. The spring of hurt feelings. What's weird is that this doesn't necessarily fit that. I thought when I said that, and what I meant by that was that, hey, look, you've got a lot of guys for a limited number of positions and a lot of guys in these competitions where right now they're battling it out and we don't know who's going to win. They're going to emerge from spring either the better than when they came in or worse off and further down the depth chart than when they went in. And if it's the latter, they may look to leave. This was the first real spring of hurt feelings that I thought we could see it. We could get pinched by a guy just realizing, man, I'm not in this rotation the way I want to be. I'm a star, and somebody's going to pay me like a star, and they might be right. And so I was waiting on it, right? Which player would that be? I thought it might be a high-end running back. Maybe a receiver you didn't want to lose. Turned out Malik McClain already took off, and that stunk. That stung before the spring even started. That stung. I didn't think it would be a player that was most assuredly going to be part of a bigger rotation of dominance. That's the thing that hurts about this particular situation is that did you just lose an all-world player based on the stats from a year ago? No, you lost a lot of potential. You lost a lot of potential because we think he was going to be a more impactful player this year, certainly, than he was last year. He was already a disruptive player, 7 tackles for loss a year ago. But we figured with the added strength and weight, playing fewer numbers of snaps because of the healthy depth of the rotation would allow you to go on to be a more effective player when you were in there. You thought, oh, man, all of this adds up to no reason whatsoever to leave. None. And then when you factor in, from the area and all that, you thought, no way. That's what hurts about this one is it's hard to see coming. It doesn't make any sense. Now, we may find out something else. We may find out there's an insane offer somewhere because that's the world we now live in. It's entirely possible. Takes one, just like in the draft. Somebody desperate enough says, I'll give you $700,000. Well, look, you're not going to negotiate that. You're not going to say for that player, okay, I'll give you $700,000. Have a good one. No, there's just no way you would. And that would be, quote unquote, nobody's fault. It would just be frustrating. And sometimes being frustrated, to me, is accentuated, the level of frustration is, from the fact that there's nobody to blame. You're just in limbo. You're stuck. You're like, well, God dog it.
As a quick aside, $700,000 would be a ridiculous figure.
Completely made it up.
Case,
just so people know. I don't know anything. I don't know numbers. I know nothing about any of that. I'm just noting that, yeah, there are situations in today's college football with the portal and the NIL being a real thing that you would have no way to suspect that player A is going to go anywhere than where he is right now. He's in the rotation. He's an emerging star. He's liked his time here. He hasn't aired any grievances that you're aware of. He's never said anything on social media that suggests he's unhappy. There's no evidence to believe so-and-so is moving on. And you get waylaid on a Thursday because in this hypothetical, Texas is tired of not having a top-notch wide receiver, and they gave Johnny Wilson $1 million. Well, holy moly, what are we going to do about that? Nothing. You're going to watch him walk out the door and go to Austin is what you're going to do. Because at some point that will happen. Something like that will happen. I'm not saying that's what happened here again. Just saying.
There was some kind of money that was going towards the player that is now freed up. You're no longer obligated to pay, that you can now repurpose for either that same position or a different position. It's like salary cap space opening up. That would be It sounds
That's exactly what it
oversimplified,
is.
but that's what it is.
That is what it is.
Yeah. Your salary cap space in the collective world has opened up, and go get you somebody else.
Well, in theory, Tom, you can go get a more experienced player at the position who's already established himself to a much greater degree than Farmer. In theory, we'll see. There aren't a ton of great defensive
Who
tackles
wants to come to Florida State for the winning part of it too. Yeah.
There aren't a ton of those guys just sitting around.
No, correct. But
you're right.
Maybe you find a linebacker. Maybe you find a safety that you got a couple extra bucks for.
Maybe you find an elite linebacker. Tom. Maybe you do. With the added money that you can throw at the problem, who knows?
Can pros come back to college now that NIL is a thing if they didn't use all 4 years?
Yeah, I was thinking about who would be worth the most from yesteryear. The money that you would have had to have given Peter Warrick? Whew. Dalvin Cook? Jimbo
would have made him pay.
Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
It's 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Widden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at widdenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying? Yes. I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Small businesses and everyday Floridians depend on a thriving digital economy. But some Florida politicians are pushing an anti-free market law that will crush our economy and hurt consumers. If passed, their reckless new law would prevent small businesses from reaching local customers online. And it could force Floridians to pay for online tools that are free today. SB 262 and HB 1547 are examples of big government at its worst. Don't let the politicians break the internet for Florida and destroy jobs. Let's protect our small businesses and consumers. Let's keep our digital economy strong, and let's keep the Sunshine State open for business. Contact your state senator and state representative today at flsenate.gov and myfloridahouse.gov. That's flsenate.gov and myfloridahouse.gov. Tell your lawmakers to reject SB 262 and HB 1547. Paid for by the Council for Citizens Against Government Waste.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update.
Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Alabama's Bryce Young, the minus 2,000 favorite to be the number 1 overall pick of the NFL draft in Kansas City today. The Carolina Panthers have the number 1 pick. Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson over under draft position bet. 7.5 picks, and that is shaded to the over minus 160. The sportsbooks believe that Richardson will go 8 or higher. The team to draft Richardson on the board. Seattle the favorite at 3-1. The Seahawks had the number 5 pick of the draft. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs today. The Tampa Bay Lightning look to remain alive. They're a $1.40 dog at Toronto. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's. Today's topic, Mother's Day. If our mom taught us anything, it's how to find a great deal.
So true. That's why I hit up Kohl's Friends and Family Sale. I saved 20% on gifts for my mom, like a pair of PJs. Plus, I got Nike sneakers and her favorite Sephora find.
She's one lucky lady.
She deserves the world. Hopefully these gifts are the next best thing.
Great gifts and great savings. Your mom will be so proud.
Select styles. Offer ends April 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Progressive presents Precious Moments.
Yeah, I caught my first fish, Dad. Great job, buddy. He's a beauty.
Thanks for taking me fishing. Love you, Dad.
I love you too, son.
The exchange you just heard didn't actually happen, but it could. Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive, and you could use the savings to make sure the boat's always ready for those magical father-son moments. Who knows, maybe someday he'll actually like fishing. So keep the dream alive and the savings coming with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of an emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
Cannonball! When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas and put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
It's springtime in Tallahassee, and there's nothing better than soaking it all up in your very own hot tub from Swain Pools and Spas. Swain Pools and Spas is the home for Caldera and free flow spas in North Florida. And Swain has the right pricing and tub size options to fit any yard and any budget with quick and easy financing options. Swain even has hot tubs that can plug right into your existing electrical outlets, so there's no additional installs needed. Visit SwainPools.com. That's SwainPools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care. Stop in today for everything from an oil change and brake repair and tires to alignments and transmission. Big or small, we do it all. It's Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip. Tallahassee Car Care, right next to Swain Pools and Spas.
Cannonball!
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
now, actually, and you're listening on podcast. There's lots of ways to get the Jeff Cameron Show. It's everywhere. Make sure you get it, share it, celebrate it, tweet it out, post it, do all the things. All the things. I mentioned at the start of the show that it was a big day because it's the NFL draft, and that is the ultimate male soap opera that we love. Unfortunately, another soap opera that we don't love, at least not today, we have in the past. This is a bad episode today, guys. We don't like where the writers took this episode. They took a right turn on us and introduced things, elements to the story that were not part of where we thought this was headed. This is nonsense. But it is also the reality of modern college football and where we sit. And if you're just tuning in and you don't know, the news is this. Josh Farmer did indeed announce that he is headed to the transfer portal and did put his name this time around in it. So he is gone. And now we'll see what happens. Tom and I just got done talking about what it does. Beyond the disappointment and the initial frustration and the feeling that you lost the talent and you lost a ton of potential, he was going to be a vital part of the defensive rotation along the defensive front and the interior. He'd come a long way. He'd built up his body. He'd gained a bunch of weight. He'd gotten awfully strong. Just did an interview with him. What was it, 2 weeks ago that I did the interview with him? We've talked to him on numerous occasions. Very likable kid. I really don't see a good reason that he would leave, but until I get details as to what it was, I really can't issue a statement on that other than to say, like all Florida State fans, it's disappointing. But again, in an effort to certainly not be disingenuous or and to be transparent, I can tell you I'm disappointed, but the reality is Florida State has benefited greatly through the transfer portal. Greatly. It has changed the fortunes of Mike Norvell and his staff. They have been able to succeed, have a 10-win season to the place where we can now be filled with expectation about what this next season will be, in large part because of the transfer portal and the caliber of players they were able to bring in to bolster the roster. And now it's come back to bite them in the ass, as it will everybody in the modern era of college football. So we'll now wait and see what happens as far as Florida State is concerned, because there is a counterpoint. Now you have some money perhaps freed up, as Tom and I were talking about last segment, money freed up to perhaps go pursue a replacement for Josh Farmer if you think it's necessary right now. It'll be interesting to see, even after this loss of Josh Farmer, is that the position they would go after? They have more money. They don't have to go after a defensive tackle. They could say, well, this frees us up in a way to attack another position of need that is a greater position of need. Even after Josh Farmer's left defensive tackle, you still have a ton of guys up front that you feel very, very good about. We'll see if Darrell Jackson leaves, but he's in a rock and a hard place if he wanted to. But the point would be, maybe you do address defensive end. Maybe you do address safety. Maybe you do address now in a greater way, a more impactful way. You pursue a higher profile player if he's available at linebacker. A more established player that would, quote unquote, cost you more. Now you might have the funds to do it. I don't know what the answer to that will be, but we'll find out soon enough, one would guess. I still think, again, that as you sit here today, the loss of Farmer, while not ideal and very frustrating, it's not an earth-shattering turn of events that limits your season. It's not going to be a situation, we don't think, as of right now. Of course, predicting injuries and the like is impossible to do. It's really a fool's errand. But what I would tell you is that is so long as the depth sits as it is now, you're still fine at defensive tackle. You're still fine. But you're not fine at a couple of other places. So let's see what they do. I'm thinking that there'll be another name. I don't know who, but there'll be another name, Tom. We'll lose
come on, man.
No, we'll lose somebody else. we're going to lose somebody else. And again, I don't know this. Like, wink, wink, nod, nod. I tell you guys can usually read between the lines. Sometimes I'll just directly say it if I'm in a position to do so. Like, hey, this is going to happen. Hey, look for this. Hey, it wouldn't be surprising if this, I'll say things, I'll couch it and try to give you a heads up on these things. Most of you who are longtime listeners know that. I'll give you a little bit of that. What I'm saying is that it wouldn't be surprising to lose another name. I said that before we got any news about Josh Farmer, and it wasn't about Josh Farmer. It was just that, look, it seems like it's our time to lose a couple guys. We've done so well in the portal. We've been killing it. It's been a one-sided affair for us. It's been a situation where Florida State has benefited greatly. So today's a day where that's not true. Would love to know, and I'm sure we'll find out exactly what it was that led to all of this. I've talked about the situation where I thought it was 50-50, even after he said he intended to put his name in the portal. Today, it's no longer a question. And from what I had come to understand about that situation, I'm disappointed for the kid because I don't think it's going to be a beneficial move for him. We'll see.
So the question becomes twofold. Number one, how does this impact Darrell Jackson, if at all? He is still on Florida State's roster with Farmer gone. So it's not like it was a package deal situation in terms of
it couldn't have been.
Removal.
Right.
Right. I understand the logistics of it. It's just that with rumors and social media posts seemingly being tied together, the two of them on a unified front about.
I get what you're saying, but just to clarify for everybody out there,
sure,
it could never be the same situation. It could never have been a package as far as entering the portal goes.
Correct.
Now he can just leave.
Well, I
not play football.
He could enter the portal and wherever he goes not be eligible to play. I think.
I don't think so.
You think he can't even enter the portal?
I don't think so. No.
Whatever the case, he's still on Florida State's roster, which is the bottom line of this business. And that's one part of it. The second part of it is, and I'll just ask you, maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. If it has gotten this far, does that mean it's past the point of no return? Or could it be that Josh is in the transfer portal a week from now, says, whoops, my bad, and then he would be welcomed back onto the roster? I wonder if that would be the case.
So this is part of a bigger question that we had a week ago, which is, in this new world that we live in, you have to decide as a staff, and it may be a case-by-case basis. You have to decide as a staff, how do you deal with a player who enters the portal and then has regrets after having done so, and a week, 2 weeks, off season, whatever, middle of the summer, says, I've thought about it some more. I was rash with my decision. I was listening to the wrong people. I wish I hadn't done it, but I did do it. I can't undo it. I can't unring the bell. I put my name out there, but I didn't go anywhere. That offers, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized this was where I needed to be. Can I come back? I know I let you down. I know I let my teammates down. I missed all of these practices. I did this, this, and this. Will you let me come back in? I don't know the answer to that. This is all, I don't know what every staff will have a different answer based on probably the quality of the player, quite frankly. I mean, if we're being realistic here, we all know the rules don't apply across the board for all players. The more skilled you are, the more wiggle room you tend to have in life in general, in the workplace, wherever else.
Yeah, correct. The quarterback that left Notre Dame and Alabama got his commitment today. Transfer portal. I think it's Tyler Buckner, if that's how his name is pronounced. But when he entered the portal, there was an understanding that he might go back to Notre Dame. Like it was considered that Notre Dame remains an option. It's almost like when a kid decommits from a school as a junior in high school and says, well, I'm decommitting from Alabama today, but Alabama remains in the mix. They're still in the mix for my services. Right. I just wanted to open up my recruitment.
Yeah.
That could apply to the transfer portal. I also want to say on a personal level, not that I'm rooting for it, I'd prefer if you go through myriad negotiations and or conversations and you still choose to go in a different direction. At some point that has to have a consequence to it, I think.
Completely agree.
But I don't know if that's how it's going to be across the country.
Well, if you I think it has an awful lot to do, again, with the quality of player that you are. Now, there are two different discussions to be had here, Tom. As a collective, you can tell somebody you're done negotiating. This is what we came to an agreement on. Player A, you get 80 grand. Player A agrees. Okay, I'll sign that deal. I like that deal. In order to receive that money, I know I have to do these things. Show up at charitable events, go to the Jeff Cameron Show golf tournament, do interviews, sign autographs for people on the day of the spring game.
Seems oddly specific.
I got to do all of these things, right? All right. I'll do that and I'll earn my 80 grand. That's a cool deal. I like it here. I like that deal. I'm going to get paid. Here we go. Then that player is told by somebody representing another school, somebody whose interest is to see this kid not on Florida State's roster. And to be sure, there are guys all over the place doing exactly that. Getting paid by somebody to try to lure kids into the portal, regardless of what ends up happening to that kid. Whether they go to that school that is fronting the money to get that kid the hell into the portal or not. It's a seedy, sorry, nasty set of circumstances we see in college football right now. But that's the reality, right? Now that kid comes back and says, I'm here and I can get double the 60 that you're paying me, the 80, whatever I said it was. I'm getting 160 now if I put my name in the portal and head to Ole Miss. All right. So at that point, you have a decision to make, man. A, you got to find out if that's real, if you can. Is that even a real thing? You just being played? We get into discussions about how you ask for raises and when you ask for raises and how that conversation has to go. And do you bluff if you don't really have something because, God forbid, they call your bluff. All these things, right? All that stuff. And maybe you make a decision to match it. Maybe the player's that good. Maybe the player is Heisman worthy. And you just think this is such a unique set of circumstances. I got another Randy Moss over here that I just can't let walk. This guy's going to win us 2 games by himself. And we're going for it. We got a veteran quarterback. We have everything we need. The pieces are in place for us to win a national championship, but he's a big reason why. He's the best at his position in the country. So for this set of circumstances, I'll give you the 160. All right. Now, what do you do when he comes back in a week and says he wants 290 or 350 or 400? Some point you say, we're done. We're done. You leave if you want to leave, but we're no longer negotiating. So it's always going to be, I think, a player-by-player basis. At that point, the player has to make a decision. There's no more leverage. They've already told you they're not going to negotiate with you, and now you ponder, do I really want to go forward with this? What's real? What isn't real? What are the consequences of me doing this? You'd like to believe they had somebody consulting the person to help them arrive at the best decision. But the point is, at some point, you do cut it off. You're not just going to keep negotiating forever. And I think in those circumstances, obviously the coach will tell people, even though they're not supposed to have any sort of inducements and communication and all that other stuff, like, hey, we really need this guy. Here's the percentage of the money that I'd be willing to spend on this particular player or position. If it were my money, I'd like 40% of it to be spent on defensive line, like however it gets done, right? So there's a line that's cut off, and then there are players that are so transcendent that maybe you make exceptions, and then there are those that you say, you know what, have a good day, man. I'm not giving you $5, let alone $50,000. Please, by all means, get in the portal. It's different for everybody.
I don't think Josh Farmer is going to be the player that qualifies at this threshold, but I am interested. When NIL first was a thing, there was a conversation that came out about the contracts and what an NIL contract would look like in terms of the ownership of your rights, the ownership of your likeness,
right,
much like the grant of rights with the ACC, just down to an individual level. And whether or not you could enforce the NIL agreement that is signed for a collective that is associated with Alabama. If the kid up and went to LSU, if the kid said, you know what, I signed a deal with the Alabama collective, Nick Saban's collective, but after my sophomore year, I took off. LSU and Brian Kelly are offering me a ton of money. Brian Kelly says, you're my guy. Could not the Alabama collective at that point, in this example, enforce a recoup of the payment that they were going to issue to the Alabama player because their name, image, and likeness belongs to that first Alabama collective.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there has to be a protection, legally speaking, for the group that puts pen to paper and says, we'll pay you this much. I don't think Josh Farmer, he's not at that level where I think it would be a concern and you want to take that to court. But somebody's going to do that
at some point. Somebody will get hurt bad enough in this thing that they will decide.
Yeah, an Addison situation from a school maybe bigger than Pitt that gets really pissed off about it. And they say, oh, really? So Caleb Williams magically decided I'm just going to go to Alabama and I'm going to leave USC. I'll bet USC at that point would say, man, your name, image, and likeness belongs to us. So anything you garner from over there belongs to us legally. It's almost like a buyout.
Yeah.
You know, when you buy out a coach, but then if they get hired at a new job, you get salary relief.
When you talk about it out loud, though, when we have this discussion, it's not good for college football. I get that both of us certainly wanted to break up the way things were and make sure that players get a percentage of these obscene profits that college football has generated. We agree on that. But because there's no leadership from the NCAA to speak of, then there are no rules involved in any of this right now. I don't care. I never come after somebody's money. I don't care if you make $400,000 and I think you should make $30,000. It doesn't matter what I think. That's okay. I'm never going to come after your money, and I don't begrudge it. Anybody's. What I will say is that we have to have a set of rules, of parameters that we're all governed by if we're competing on the same playing field, right? If we're going to decide how it is we uncover the best team, the national championship, whatever it might be, a playoff, a division, a conference, we got to be on the same page here, man.
I agree with you. It's never been equal. I think it's just more transparent about how it is inequitable. So I think we're approaching a place where the transparency, it's leading to a healthier solution for everybody
involved.
It will
eventually, but as of right now, this is a wild, wild west situation.
It is.
This is nobody's safe. And what I'm talking about isn't that I'm saying it's morally reprehensible or anything like that. What I'm saying is it's like when you have a collectively bargain situation in the pros. Okay, good. We're all agreeing. The Yankees can't play the Yankees. So we all have to figure out, even though they have more money than everybody else, how do we make this work? All right, well, we don't want a salary cap. All right, well, what do we do? Because, again, the Yankees can't play the Yankees. Well, okay, you can spend over this amount of money, but any dollar over that amount is going to get spread out to everybody else. Okay, fine with me. I've got more money than God. Doesn't hurt me at all, and the other teams benefit. Whatever it is, it's an agreed-upon thing within the realm of that competition.
When NIL came out, you know me, I've pushed for this for a long time. I'd rather it be transparent because this idea of the student athlete has been dead for decades.
Of course.
You know, because
the idea of the amateur athlete, yes.
Well, I mean, of the student athlete, in most cases with big time sports, I'm going to keep it specific to football in this case.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me the entry requirements for somebody who's good at football are the same as a regular kid who's applying from a normal high school?
No, of course not. We know that.
Oh, right.
Sliding scales, right.
The moment that starts, we're having this conversation. And here's where we're going at this point. I'm glad it's getting more honest, and I'm glad it's going to a place, just as general, not relative to Farmer.
Right.
I'm just glad we're getting to a place where the cards are on the table and everybody can see what it's about.
What I'm officially lamenting isn't that this is becoming more transparent and players are able to get paid and all that. It's that there is zero leadership from the NCAA. Yeah. There's a vacuum. We've got nobody making decisions as to what's best for college football. It's players, coaches, fans. Nobody.
Well, this was the other part of it. When this begins, what is the deterrent? What
there
is the deterrent?
One.
There is nothing right
There
now.
Isn't one. I was screaming when we had this conversation the one time before. I was like, look, man, double middle fingers to the NCAA if you want. They're not in a position to do anything about it. The courts have told them, you're done. We warned your asses. And they didn't do anything in the build-up to this moment. They knew they were going to lose that.
Right. And now they're begging for federal legislation.
Now they're begging Congress.
While
okay,
individual states are going to war about how aggressive we can get.
Correct. So who gets hurt in all this? Well, potentially fans, players, everybody. Now, again, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. There are a lot more pressing issues of the world. I get it. But this is the realm with which we're passionate and we talk on a daily basis. This ain't it. This is not good. And I'm not saying it because we lost Josh Farmer today. I laughed. I jokingly mocked us for rating South Carolina, just bending South Carolina over on the daily. Like, boy, South Carolina's going to love them some Florida State right about now. Every time they have a good player emerging, we just take him. Oh, him, huh? Jamie Ross, we'll take him. Kier Thomas, we'll take his ass too.
What
about that defensive end? We'll take his ass too.
That's a great point. Let's look at their 2 deep at defensive tackle. See what's going on up there. Hey, what's going on, Gamecocks? Who you got as a rotational?
You have a good defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to go ahead and take him like we've done everybody else.
I love this system.
But yeah, I mean, I never thought that was all right either. I celebrated the win in the moment, knowing we were just as susceptible and that it would come back around.
Sure.
And so that's where we sit now. I mean, it's coming back around.
The best case for Josh Farmer is that wherever he goes, he's the Jermaine Johnson of that program. There was a snap crunch. He wasn't going to get as many as he wanted. He goes to a place, he becomes beloved, and he's drafted in the top 50 in the NFL draft because of all of those things aligning. That's what Jermaine was to us. Now, it did not really force Georgia to flinch as a defensive front at all.
Because of the stockpiling of an insane amount of talent.
That's what we got to do now.
Right.
Is get to a point where
but
even if
understand,
something like this happens, we don't have to spend 15 minutes on it. We don't have to spend 5 minutes on it because that's the price of doing business.
Yeah, but understand that they were able to accrue all of that before NIL happened, before.
Yeah, fair.
So it's a totally different game now. I don't know that you're going to be able to have, 19 guys in your rotation on defense that all get drafted in the first round the way Georgia did.
What a damn shame. The thing I'd say is the more even the footing, the better I like our chances as an institution. The more even the footing, the better.
Even the footing. Well,
Yes.
we're not in even footing right now.
No, but what I'm saying is if you're saying you cannot stockpile 19 dudes anymore because there's too much money around in different places.
Right, that's great. That should even up competition. And maybe it already has CTCU. Maybe. But until we get out of the ACC, the long-term prognosis is that you're dead.
Yes.
You're dead sooner than you'd like to be. You're dead. You just don't know it.
I'm talking about the Western front of the war that we're battling here in college football. Now, when I go back to the Capitol and we could go have a talk with the president, I agree with you.
Yeah, we got real issues.
But I think we're going to solve that.
Yeah. I don't know what magic genie's coming in to provide leadership here and get everybody to agree.
Well, the leadership here
I'm
is
not
much
talking
stronger.
about Florida State
Oh, okay.
University.
All right.
I'm talking about college football
Okay.
and the conundrum that is this situation.
The red phone's going off here.
Nobody's coming to save college football right now. I mean, it's frustrating.
They're all out for their ass. But the good news is we can help you. We can help you. Our brand
This
is
isn't going to
strong.
kill. I'm not mad at Farmer. I wish he hadn't left. Two different things. Wish he hadn't left. I actually think probably pretty foolish move on his part as we sit here today. We'll see. Maybe I'll learn something that changes my mind, and I'll tell you. But it doesn't devastate Florida State. Florida State's still in a really good position to be much better than they were a year ago defensively up front. Much better. They're still in a really prime position. They should be very pleased. Like you said, maybe they'll use it to their advantage and that they have some extra funds to go out and maybe go get somebody. Maybe it happens.
Now, Braden Fisk becomes more important.
Yeah, he's got to play and play well.
And the waiver and the will of Daryl Jackson, both those things.
All those things become very, very, very important. Listen, if Daryl Jackson plays and he's motivated, he's a first-round caliber defensive tackle. He's that kind of player. He's unblockable if he's a motivated, focused, hardworking player. You want to pull him aside and say, well, guess what, man? You're going to get even more reps than you were going to get. And I got to be honest with you, man. I get it. Maybe you don't like college. I don't know that. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe that's why you're constantly transferring. You just hate the college thing, and you'd like to just go do what you should be able to do already. I agree. You should be able to go pro right now, but you can't. You got to do it after this year. So give me 7 months, pal. 7 months of focus and go dominate and get your money. You'll never have to worry about college again. Go do it. Whatever the pitch is, they got to get him locked in and focused.
Now Dennis Briggs probably stays at home at defensive interior.
Mm-hmm.
Now Ayo Tafasi, you're much closer to your payday. Daniel Lyons, ditto.
Opportunities galore. Sure, everybody steps up a notch.
And they've got the talent to do it.
Oh, I love Tafasi. I've talked about that a lot. I feel like he's got a real potential to be a very good player. Just got to stay on that track and continuing to build and being focused. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me.
What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day, and I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se. And I wanted something that tasted good, too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels. And also, over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. It's athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
Try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Real news, real stories. You're listening to Real Talk 93.3. Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
$1,000 for your down payment for first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. And that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain. You can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates, guide you through the process every step of the way. Also get your closing costs reduced. The Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young. I will tell you that the flip side of this coin is how quickly you're able to move on from a guy and turn your attention to some other guy who's now available to be brought in and added to an already very good and deep roster, perhaps further emboldening you to believe that Florida State is going to be even better than you thought prior to when you woke up today. It can happen. That's the craziness of the portal. Who knows? You might find out tomorrow on the JCS that we just brought in a two-time all-conference Power 5 defensive tackle who was a 5-star at high school, and he's played a lot of football and can't wait to play for us. Could happen. You don't know. So as you sit in dismay and you think, oh, through the day this happened to college football, that may not last either.
You could, and this isn't going to be all negative, but you could lose more players between now and the end of the portal open period here.
Yeah, sure.
And if they're not critical players, at critical positions, then you save even more money if they have a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you rack up cap space
to
go make a move.
Yeah. Then you go out and you go find a stud, a game changer.
You tamper to get the kid to enter the portal.
You can't just start tampering. We should have been tampering hours ago.
It has to be one of my favorite images, the idol and the bag of sand in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's they enter the portal and they say, I'm going. Here's where I'm going. Yep.
Yeah, man. I hope we're in the middle of breaking all the rules. Every one of them, whatever they might be, in an effort to better this football team. Well, no rules here. No rules.
Clearly not.
You said your finger was a gun. Yeah, I mean it's true. It's like
you're a pacifist.
I want that linebacker from NC State. Can we hurry up and make it happen?
He's gone. Thayer Thomas. He's going to be drafted this weekend.
Probably number 1 overall.
If he goes to the Bucks, you're going to do backflips.
Oh, buddy, won't I? That is one productive SOB. He's everywhere. He's a football playing Jesse.
With the 112th pick in the NFL draft, the Tampa Bay
Bucks
Buccaneers
have just stolen the draft from all of you.
Have drafted number 32.
And he's going to come in and wear that shirt at halfway just like he did in college. He'll be instinctive as hell. We'll be watching it like, look at him come out of nowhere. It's as if he knew it was coming.
It'll still be an NC State jersey. You'll be okay with it.
Yes. Just a beast. That is fun when that's something about the draft tonight that I do love. We're all such huge, passionate fans of the sport that we've seen a lot of these guys, especially tonight. You know, it's a Thursday night. Thursday and Friday night, you're seeing guys that you watched play all the time. Now, when you get into the weekend, you're like, who the hell is that guy? There is a lot of that. But these first 2 rounds, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a good pick. Remember that game we saw Temple and Tulane? 47-40. That was the kid. Oh, that's right. That was the kid. Yeah, he must have had 10 catches for like 240.
He's good.
He's really good. Yeah, that's a good pick for them. That's a real good pick. I love when we do that. Kid goes on to do nothing, get cut. But in that moment, we loved it. We're like, yeah, that kid's really good.
Ryan Switzer. Remember North Carolina, all everything? I thought that he could be, if you wanted to address a big need, he could be your poor man's Christian McCaffrey.
Definitely poor.
Because of the slot receiver stuff. We didn't know McCaffrey was going to be a tailback at that level.
Yeah, he's really good.
Insert your stereotype jokes here.
Well, you and I argued about this a little bit. I thought he might be pretty good.
Yes, you did. I thought Dalvin Cook was going to be pretty good.
We
were all right.
None of us didn't think that. You just thought you wanted him more than I wanted him in the position that we were drafting.
Yes, the Bucks were in a position to maybe take it back, and I wanted Dalvin, and you wanted McCaffrey. And I think the answer would have been correct.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And we all agreed that Henry was the guy that, you probably take that guy.
They've all been good.
Yeah.
They've all been good.
I like
you
those
do
drafts.
have to. You do have to change your offense to run what Henry runs. It's very much a smash mouth, downhill run game, play defense and special teams, and hold on for dear life. But yeah,
I just remember slowly parting with the idea that the Bucs were going to take Dalvin Cook. What draft would that have been? The 16 draft?
Yeah, but I didn't like us taking him because we weren't ready yet on the offensive front.
Because there was the count of the Alabama kids. There was going to be a +1 when it got to the Bucs slot. You're like, oh my God, because of all these other things, there's going to be one Alabama dude available to us.
Yeah.
And you got to take whoever it is.
It's going to happen. One of those guys.
And it was O.J. Howard.
Who had a snapshot of excellence when Brady got there. And I was at the game he got hurt when he lit up the Chargers.
He had a moment or two under Dirk, too, but then
he was about to be good, but then Jameis hated him because he didn't work hard.
Was it the Achilles?
That was the game I was at.
Well, the Patriots game was that Thursday Night Football. James was leading the drive down the field.
That's right.
He ran the wrong route.
Yeah.
And even Dirk was mad about that. Even Dirk took
But by the
Jameis's
way,
side.
he still hit him. He hit him. It's right there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he probably gets tackled at the inch line, but yeah. So for example, tonight, it's a fun exercise here. Like I said earlier, who's looking to rebuild and are willing to acquire more assets by trading down or move up to get a quarterback? Those are the great questions you have. I think you can argue that the Tennessee Titans are probably about to make the decision to rebuild. So they would be somebody that would want to maybe move up for one of the quarterbacks, and that would take them from 11 to 3.
This is interesting. And this almost sounds like a solving for the future on a Thursday.
Boom! That's what we're doing, and we're talking about acquiring assets to build a more long-term successful business.
And could it be for the first time in my life, although they did make the playoffs and I was at their playoff game, could it be the Detroit Lions on this night
find their guy?
2 or 3 of the missing pieces that they have, put them in the puzzle, and Dan Campbell rides off into the NFL playoff sunset with Green Bay having Jordan Love as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins not getting any better anytime soon.
What's Kirk Cousins done? One playoff game? One playoff win?
It's going to be Dan Campbell versus Justin Fields' legs for the division. That's where this is going. And tonight could go a long way in helping Detroit cement being back in the playoffs, maybe winning a playoff.
I think you can argue that the Bears need a quarterback. So it's like you've got a lot of things to think about here. You got to make decisions, tough decisions on young players sometimes.
It's a big night for the Lions. They're solving the future right here, right now, for the now.
And if ISF were helping these organizations, they'd sit down and help them figure it all out, both through the technology aspect of it all, enhancing their abilities, but also looking long-term as to whether or not it was cost efficient or how to be more efficient with the money they're currently spending. That's what ISF does. They're collaborators.
And to that point, I see Viking Ken in the chat. Minnesota has to decide if it's more efficient to trade Dalvin Cook. Because if you look at the player props of who's going to get traded, Aaron Rodgers was number 1. That's done before the draft started.
Yeah, Dalvin's very high on the list.
He's very, very high on the list. He could go tonight or tomorrow. Could very well happen.
He ain't coming to Tampa, buddy.
No need.
Well, I'd like him to be there. I like Dalvin.
This version?
You don't think Dalvin's any good anymore?
Not for where we are as a franchise.
That's what I thought when the draft was happening.
Yeah. I just thought, I thought it was such a shame that Jameis and Dalvin passed each other like ships in the night in 2014. You go back and you look at that roster, you go, oh my God, those guys played together? But they never really played together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They were there, and Dalvin saved us on 2 occasions, one of which was the Florida game. But you never really saw the best of them running at the same time.
Well, you know when you would have? If we hadn't been fumbling all over the place in the damn Rose Bowl.
Scored 65. I don't know if it would have been enough.
Still been scoring.
But it would have been close.
Yeah, draft's fun. You find the steals and you celebrate them, but it's always years later, and you find the busts. Sometimes you figure them out a lot sooner. That's the hard part. You can, if you're being honest with yourself, you can find a bust in year 1. You can go, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for what we need.
A lot of times with the quarterbacks. Yeah. A lot of times with the quarterbacks. Like Zach Wilson. You were high on Zach Wilson. I was too. In college, week to week, saying, man, that kid can play.
Yeah.
But then I remember this completely, though. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. You know the game I'm talking about.
Well, he walked out on the stage.
Yes.
You said when he walked out on the stage, you said, oh, no, he's
no,
too small.
No, he's too small. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, I announced in that moment while watching the draft with you, I'm wrong. He can't play. I wanted to get out in front of it.
They drafted Bob Costas.
It was crazy. That is true. We were watching the draft, and I had said, I like that kid. I like his tape. I liked everything I saw in college. And he walked out there looking like a little kid. And I was like, oh, look at that. That is a small child. He's got no chance.
Calling him a mama's boy might be accurate.
I don't even care. I don't even care. That was well done. I don't even care what those measurables say. When you looked at him, you went, he's slight. He's got zero chance because he didn't have some crazy intangibles. Like the thing with Bryce Young, he's tiny. And whoever drafts him is admitting, okay, I'm just betting on this kid, eyes in the back of the head, sixth sense ability to avoid getting hit. Because you did see it at the highest level in the SEC. So if you're going to play in a league with big dudes that resemble the NFL, that's the league. And he did torch defenses throughout that league. But everybody held their breath every time a play broke down because you thought, well, if somebody cleans him, if somebody squares him up, that could very easily be the end of a career. Just like with Tua. Tua's running around, you're like, You don't think that when you see Hurts running around because he's big.
Yeah.
You certainly don't think that when you see Josh Allen running around. You're like, who's Josh Allen going to truck is what you think. But, man, tonight, whoever takes Bryce Young, let's say he goes number one, everybody's just going,
yeah,
can we protect him? Because God knows if he gets hit, he's dead.
In the days of standardized tests, we all know that not every pencil was created the same.
That's correct.
There are some that were very brittle. It could just snap in your fingers.
Right there.
And the lead would break off. And you're like, this is not a quality pencil.
Cause you to be flustered in a very critical moment.
Usually it was the team pencils that were pretty brittle. Like if you got NFL pencils, NHL pencils.
They were brittle.
Yeah, they were.
That's why we played the game.
That's right.
We played the game with the NFL team pencils.
But the one that had the green foil underneath
no chance.
The eraser
wasn't going to break.
That thing is made of steel.
Well, and Lee Corso would tell you number 2 pencils. He was always right there for you. Our thanks to our friends and collaborators, ISF. Your vision, you want to do amazing things, you've got goals, you've got big ideas for the future, and you want to work hard, and you want an agency that'll do it with you and help you navigate the unique challenges inherent to government operations. Well, they've been doing it all over the country. For 40 years, they've served state government and business clients across the nation. Right here from Tallahassee. How awesome is that? Want to learn more? ISF.com. I think you'll like working with ISF. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
After rise in fentanyl-related overdoses, the Gadsden County Sheriff's Office introduced 6 free Narcan stands to the community Tuesday. The Sheriff's Office partnered with Disc Village, a substance use and mental health treatment center, to set up the stations. 4 of the stands are in Quincy. The Sheriff's Office is also partnering with Northwest Florida Health to connect those impacted by substance abuse issues with inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation services, as well as supplying the kits to the county. The 2023 Leon Works Expo is this Friday, April 28th, for high school students in the Big Bend region. The event is from 9 a.m. to noon at the Tucker Civic Center. Leon County and the Tallahassee-Leon County Office of Economic Vitality are hosting the expo to connect employers, academic institutions, and students to provide an opportunity for students to explore skilled careers. Students will learn from individuals with local success stories and engage with employers in person to discover the career that best fits them. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A severe thunderstorm watch continues until 7 p.m. this evening. Cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 83. Winds out of the south 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows around 67. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. High of 82. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 74.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show. Now in Tallahassee, afternoon drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM WVFT.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Talk about him momentarily for probables. We'll get into that. But before I do want to make mention of our friends at Power Mill. Powering performance for your kids, whether they aspire to go to the major leagues or play Olympic softball or whatever it might be, college baseball, who knows, or just have a lot of fun getting the most out of their ability in youth sports and playing in baseball and softball leagues around town the way my kids did and the way that so many of us grew up doing. Power Mill does that, and they have really something for every level of player. That includes camps, individual instruction as well, and a great facility, baseball and softball. If you want to learn more, PowerMillSports.com. That's where you go, PowerMillSports.com. If you would, cue it up, Tom.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
So before I get into the names of the pitchers for the day, Dick Grote has passed away, I think at the age of 92. He's a former Pirate great, but pretty amazing guy when you look back at his career and his life. National League MVP, twice a World Series champion, batting champion, played in the NBA for the Pistons, also was an All-American and has had his number and name retired in the rafters at Duke, created the Champions Lake golf course. He called play-by-play and color for Pitt Hoops and lived in Pittsburgh his whole life in the offseason and was part of the organization to the day he died. That's insane. Imagine being that kind of a badass. Oh, I played in the NBA, also Major League Baseball, won World Series, won MVPs, had my number retired at Duke, did play-by-play for Pitt basketball. I mean, holy moly. Died today at 92. Just thought I'd throw it out there. Now to the more celebratory aspects of the day. The Pirates pasted the Dodgers yet again and should have swept the series. Their only loss came after blowing a 7-2 lead, in which they fell 8-7. The next night, they won 8-1. And today, in afternoon baseball, the Buccos pummeled the Dodgers yet again. Mitch Keller dominant in his performance, a little 6-2 win.
Not just screwing Mitch Keller.
Not just screwing Mitch Keller again, who's now 3-0, and he has found it. 3-0 with a 3.5 and a bunch of strikeouts and a whole lot of suck it, everybody. Woo! Thank God we finally drafted a kid who did something. I've been waiting forever as a pitcher. Because last year, he was like, at the very end of the year, you're like, well, I think he may have figured something out. Can't wait for next year to see if I'm right. And so far, so good. I think he's figured something out. Onward we go. Philadelphia 1, Seattle nothing. That game is, what, in the 6th? 7th. Pitchers duel. George Kirby and Matt Strong. Padres, Cubs, they're in the seconds. 2-1 Cubbies. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. Padres struggled to score runs, so that one run early in the game kind of feel like a windfall. Cubs have Hayden Wisniewski on the hill. Marlins, Braves, they're in a delay in the fourth inning. Rain, Braxton Garrett, Kyle Wright. Cards, Giants. Giants beat the Cards last night. Cards keep losing. Tragedy. Miles Mikolas. Yes. Logan Webb. Giants have won 5 straight. A's, Angels, JP Sears. Shohei Ohtani. The show is tonight. Got to guess what Shohei's numbers are as a pitcher this year?
He's got an 0.68 ERA.
He's got an 0.64 ERA.
Oh, I almost had it.
He's 3-0, and he's done. Orioles, Tigers, Kyle Gibson, Joey Wentz. Nats, Mets, Trevor Williams, Joey Lucchese. Rays, White Sox, Shane McClanahan. Dylan Cease goes for the White Sox. Royals, Twins, Zach Greinke, still pitching. Still out here pitching. Not winning, but still out here pitching. Tyler Mahal. Yanks, Rangers, Garrett Cole, former Pirate, Andrew Haney. And the game that's already in the books is, of course, the Pirates 6, Dodgers 2. I don't know if I mentioned it, but that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. You can just listen to me do that for a while. One thing to mention, Robbie Ray out for the year. Robbie Ray! Yeah, out for the year.
Recruiting chat tonight on WarchantTV, 6 p.m. live on the channel.
And I got to tell you that we're signing a 5-star dominant defensive tackle. Maybe. Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Peace.